Welcome to the mind of LANCESCURV, the most creatively profound man in cyberspace.
Welcome back, family, kindred spirits, and curious onlookers, and maybe a sprinkling of some weird people. I don't know. You don't know who's listening to you when you're on this thing. Really and truly, you be fast asleep, knocked out, and somebody like in a weird country, in a strange place, is just looking at you and just like, Anyway, you can tell I'm a little stir crazy. I've been in the house all day, but I love it though. I love the peace and quiet and tranquility. My creative juices are just overflowing. I have to say that. And it's really a good thing, because without the distractions, oh man, it's just so good. It's just so good. Yes, the title today is The Hypocrisy of Silence. Why pornography deserves the same scrutiny as social media. Isn't that something? Well, there's a lot of things that go along with this, meaning that this world is so interconnected. I mean, you see the things that are going on with P. Diddy. Come on, what's his real name? It went from Puff Daddy to P. Diddy. What is this man's real name? Like John Doe? John Smith? Joe Smith? And he changes it, right? Wow. I'm at the point where I'm glad I am where I am. I don't want to be in the mix of anything. I don't want to be in the crossfire of any kind of craziness or anything. I'm just an observer. I'm turning into that old man who sits on the couch and watches TV and just says, this world is getting crazy. It wasn't like that back in the old days. Well, not really. But I'm very selective with what I involve myself with now. When I was much younger, I would just throw myself into it, throw all caution to the wind, and just enjoy and see what happens. And with me, it was always a good time. And it was always safe. And I knew I was protected because I found myself in places, nothing outwardly dangerous, but when you're out and about in New York City for years on end, exploring, going here, going there, going where the wind blows, not 24/7, you're responsible, you hold down a job and you do what you have to do. But when you have that time where you say, tonight I'm free, you grab up some friends, or even you go by yourself. I would go out by myself a lot of times and take my time and go to bookstores, go and listen to music, go to the music shops and get, DVDs or cassette tapes that shows you how long I've been on this earth. Go to a restaurant and sit down and eat and meet people and have fun. But it doesn't seem the world is like that anymore. It's like all a cash grab, all deception. We're acting like human beings now. We don't have the human vibe anymore. It's been sucked out of us. It's about getting the bag. It's about getting the money. It's about your tribe. And even people who are in your crew, you backstab them too when you get what you want. I'm not saying anybody here. But it's just a hostile environment. And that's to benefit someone. We don't really have unity anymore. Listen, black folks, and I'm talking about black folks now. Everybody can listen to this. I'm going to speak about that. Black folks, come on now. We're slipping. I don't care how many awards shows that you see where we're getting this award for this and this performance, and we have some of us who are making money, but a lot of us have this secret handshakes going on. Come on, we're not really going anywhere. Like Dr. Claude Anderson said, we're no better overall and collectively from when we came out of slavery. The same percentage of what we own then is the same percentage of what we own now. We have too many baubles and rubies and trinkets and glittery red things that we've been duped to thinking that we got somewhere. It's just so crazy. But I want to talk about this article that was sent to me by a very precious and special sister, a true sister, the sister that I never had. And it's from The Defender, Children's Health Defense News and Views. Just a short 3 paragraphs, not even that, 3 sentences. But here it is. I have a few comments on that before we even start the show. And there's a reason why I'm tying this in, because I got this earlier, but I had the idea for this particular topic from last night. President Joe Biden on Wednesday signed a bill that will ban TikTok in the U.S. unless its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, sells the social media platform's U.S. assets. The bill is a part of a broader $95 billion, with a B, billion, foreign aid package providing support to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. Under the new law, ByteDance must divest its U.S. operations by January 19th, 2025. The U.S. House of Representatives passed similar legislation in March, but the bill stalled in the Senate. Whoa, check that out. What's this all about? You say this is criminal on multi-levels. The fact that they want to ban TikTok and they put it in a bill that's giving $95 billion to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, yet they don't have a penny for reparations for black people or citizens of America who are suffering. And now in California, gas is over $7 a gallon. You know, when we look at things, we have to look at the overall. So what does it have to do with pornography in this particular situation here? Well, I'm going to say this off the bat, and we're going to talk about this afterward. We speak about social media. We speak about how damaging it is. But why isn't anybody saying how damaging it is as far as the pornography? Porn is more damaging. It gets right to the point. I'm going to list out some detrimental results of porn, but we have the U.S. concerned about TikTok. Now, my opinion is this, and this ties in with the topic because we're going to come right back to it again. America cannot control TikTok. TikTok is owned by the Chinese. The Chinese, and I've said this again, in their own country, in China, TikTok is censored. There is no filth. There is no decadence. There is no low vibrational content there. They keep it pure. There's not even any anti-government stuff on TikTok in China. You better not. Well, guess what? The world can have the filth. The world will allow you to have your daughters shake their behinds and do different things. We know that. But for those who want to speak out freely without being censored, as it's happening on all American social media platforms, they don't like it because we can go and speak our mind and not have to worry about getting shadow banned, not have to worry about getting our platform taken down. And yes, they do that, but on a much milder level. You got to really be bad to get taken down off TikTok or talk about something they don't want you to talk about. I guess if you talk about the Chinese government or something, maybe they will. But speaking about our experience in America, and this is why they want to ban it from the U.S., because you can say things that get back to others in the U.S. while you're on TikTok. Maybe they don't mind it being spoken in other countries. It's not going to touch me because I don't live in the U.S. right now. But you can still say things, and we will still say things. So even then, they can't stop you. They've tried their best, and they did some weird stuff with my channel, my old channel. All of my old videos were made private after being hacked. Who did that? I suspect it's the very people whose platform I'm on that platform now. So read between the lines. Because they can't have certain things or certain people thrive on them. And they'll cut back on you. But they can't control TikTok. That's why they want to come after it. And imagine taking that money to force them to sell and giving it to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan for defense. But you can't take care of your own people in your own country. What kind of sick government is the United States government? And it's not whining about reparations. We built this country. We built America. So what do? Do you have somebody build a house? You go to the bank and get a loan, and you say, okay, I'm going to give you a little money right now. But when you finish, I'm going to give you everything. And they finish, you don't give them anything. Isn't that a lawsuit? But that's how America does this. All I'm saying is that if they give it out, sure, take it. I'm way over here. I'm going to get mine. Yes, I am. I'll be right over there in line to get it. But you know what? I'm not expecting it because they'll stall you. You'll sit around waiting for that, and you won't have the impetus to get up and do something for yourself once again. But this time, you're not going to do it for anybody else but yourself. That was not by choice. I understand that. But now, in 2024 and beyond, I can't say we need to get together. We need to band together because that's not going to happen. Our minds are too screwed up. But they're concerned more about TikTok, not because they care about anybody, because the other social media platforms that they control has a lot of stuff on there. I mean, I've seen more butts than ashtrays when I'm on Instagram. Just booty this, booty that, booty this. They have other things on there also. But they don't want you talking about them. They don't want you talking about America. They don't want you talking about the system, how twisted it is, because the world will see it and understand how they move. That's what they don't want. They don't want you to show the world how they move, what they've done. Because also we're being written out of history as melanated people on the planet. You know that, right? I mean, you do know that, right? Don't let that smartphone get you like a crack pipe. Trust me. Too many people, it gets that way. I jotted down a few notes. I want to read it, and I have some bulleted points I want to speak on, and then I'm going to get into my little rant at the end, which may not be long, but we're going to get down on this. And I want to thank all the supporters, all the subscribers that have subscribed to this new LANCESCURV channel. Get the word out. They knocked this one down. I'm everywhere else. I'm on the site, LANCESCURV.com. It doesn't matter. It doesn't stop me from doing what I do. America, you can't touch me. I'm way out here in West Africa. I'm going to keep on talking, even if I have to go and get a bullhorn and get a milk crate and stand up on the corner and say what I say. And even then, it's going to be more vicious. Didn't say anything bad so far now, did I? Just making sure. The hypocrisy of silence. Why pornography deserves the same scrutiny as social media. In the age of digital connectivity, societal discourse often fixates on the perils of social media, while the detrimental impact of pornography remains conspicuously unaddressed. I thought I said undressed. You get it? Porn undressed. This glaring double standard underscores a fundamental hypocrisy within our cultural narrative, one that prioritizes the regulation of virtual interactions over the insidious effects of pornography consumption. While social media undoubtedly presents its own set of challenges, the corrosive influence of pornography on our collective psyche cannot be overstated. Far from a harmless indulgence, the pervasive accessibility of explicit content has contributed to a warped perception of human sexuality, fostering unrealistic expectations and objectification. Within the realm of pornography, women are often reduced to mere objects of gratification, perpetrating damaging stereotypes and eroding the foundation of mutual respect and consent within intimate relationships. The normalization of exploitative narratives and degrading imagery perpetrates harmful attitudes toward women, undermining efforts towards gender equality and empowerment. Moreover, the proliferation of pornography has facilitated the commercialization of intimacy, leading to the commodification of human connection. Tragically, many individuals, particularly women who have endured trauma and exploitation, may feel compelled to participate in the industry as a means of survival, perpetrating cycles of harm and exploitation. The impact of pornography extends far beyond individual consumption, infiltrating the impressionable minds of our youth and shaping their perceptions of healthy relationships. In an era where digital exposure begins at increasingly younger ages, the absence of comprehensive education and guidance leaves adolescents vulnerable to the distorted narratives peddled by the pornographic industry. Compounding this issue is the prevalence of dysfunctional family dynamics, where abuse, both physical and emotional, exacerbates vulnerabilities and perpetuates cycles of trauma. The addictive nature of pornography further entrenches these destructive patterns, hindering the development of healthy perspectives on intimacy and consent. While social media undoubtedly warrants critical examination, it is imperative that we confront the pervasive influence of pornography with equal fervor. The silence surrounding this issue not only perpetuates harm, but also undermines our collective efforts to cultivate a culture of respect, empathy, and genuine human connection. In the pursuit of a more equitable and compassionate society, we must acknowledge the profound impact of pornography on our collective psyche and advocate for meaningful measures to address its influence. Only then can we hope to foster relationships built on mutual respect, understanding, and authentic connection, transcending the shallow veneer of digital consumption to reclaim the true essence of human intimacy. Indeed, they're talking about social media so much, but they're not saying anything about the porn industry. But they want to go after TikTok. Is it also a financial thing? Well, Joe Biden wants to take that money and force them to sell its U.S. interests, TikTok, and give the money to Ukraine. So wait a second. That's like you having starving babies at home, and you take your paycheck and feed everybody else, and you leave them starving. We have needs in America. We have veterans that are living under the trestles. We have homeless people. We have elderly who are eating dog food and cat food. They don't have enough money to get the proper nutrition. They're dying in their homes. Everybody doesn't have family. You understand? What happened to the heart and soul of America that they claim to have? Because you see, back in the day with me, right? And with those who look like me, it wasn't about America's heart and soul. It was about us loving us and our unity, which we had a little more. Yeah, we had crime, we had drug addiction, we had gossipers, we had criminals, we had all of that. But we had more love and connectivity in the black community. What happened to that? Because these people ain't going to care for us. If we get anything, well, that's fine, like I said early on in the beginning. But the bottom line is that, hey, come on. We got to look out for ourselves. And no man is an island, no matter how much they try to have you do the social distancing, right? There's so many things that are going on that stage right now. We have these protests that are going on over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, right? I mean, I'm nice to say it that way, okay? But is that stimulated in an artificial way to take our eyes away from something else? To force now, they're going to have Zoom classes, Zoom meetings over the computer so that we're not in the classrooms anymore, so we can't talk about these issues anymore. If you look back in the 60s, during the civil rights movement at that time, maybe some of the 50s, they were on the campuses protesting, grassroots, and nothing can stop them. But if you're socially distanced away, they can control the narrative by what you see on social media. See? What good is it if it's there, the information, but you can't get to it? This is where TikTok comes in. TikTok is letting it all through, and that's why they want to take it out of the United States and get some money after pimping off TikTok and making them, force them to sell its assets, its interest in the U.S. It's not going to stop anything. It'll make guys like me more intense. So I'm all for TikTok right now. I never really understood it before. I thought it was, it's like, it's something different. It's not effective. I'm like, okay, I'm all in. And look for the LANCESCURV Uncensored show on TikTok soon. I'm getting some ducks in a row. I'm learning some things on a technical level because you know I like to present things properly. But it's going to be every night, at least 5-6 days out of the week for a couple of hours. Because I can be free. I will share some of it on YouTube that I can. And I will still do YouTube and other American social media platforms. I'm going to do it in a certain way that's safe. But I'm going to let it all hang out everywhere else. And I'm going to really let it hang out on LANCESCURV.com when it comes to the writing and the artwork. Yes, indeed. But I want to share a little more on the pornographic situation here. Here are 20 bulleted points comparing social media to pornography to highlight the destructive impact of pornography on society and younger generations. Number 1, social media may foster negative self-image and comparison, but pornography perpetuates unrealistic body standards and sexual performance expectations. Bang! Let me tell you something. Porn has been around for a long time. And I've been around for a long time too. 61 years is not 20 anymore. But I remember the fellas getting around talking. I'm not saying throwing off on anybody I may know, this one or that one. I'm just saying in general. Even some guys that, when you're younger and you have your little crew, but then there's a friend in that crew that has another little crew and you kind of mix. So you're all talking about girls, right? All talking about women. Excuse me. And so you have one guy, yeah, I was with my girlfriend last night. And I'm not being derogatory and saying it this way because you know how guys talk. Hey, man, I was up in it for 6 hours. Hey, what? Then the other guy, it ain't nothing, man. I was up in it for like 9 hours. You lying fools. This is why, like it says, may foster negative self-image and comparison. But pornography perpetuates unrealistic body standards and sexual performance expectations. Come on. Half of y'all been 2-minute brothers or 1-minute brother or 5-minute brothers. Talking about you've been up in there for 6 to 9 hours. Get out of here. You lying. Number 2, while social media can promote cyberbullying, pornography normalizes abusive and degrading behaviors toward women and marginalized groups. It becomes a spectacle. And this twisted type of sexual, I can't say desires, but you take, for example, I'm not going to just demonize the men. I'm saying it because I'm a man, but they're just as much twisted women out here. Come on now. How many teachers, female teachers, have they been caught having sex with underage boys and getting pregnant from them? And actually, I'm falling in love with him. I want to marry him. So it's just as bad. It just comes out a different way. And because of how society is, where they go after the men more and not the women, because a lot of young guys and even a lot of older guys, I've heard them say, I wish I had a teacher like that to seduce me and go down on me and give me sex and I can go over a house and get it. I wouldn't say anything. That young boy was stupid. He went and told. I wouldn't have told nobody. I would have been a happy camper to do my homework and do some homework over by her home, which didn't involve pens and pencils. Grown men saying this. But when it's a young girl who gets molested, put her under the jail. You see what I mean? I'm not advocating for young females to get that treatment. No. All I'm saying is that it's just as bad. If it's bad one way, it's bad the other way. But these twisted men who have their fetishes and their fantasies, and maybe they have been molested and mixed in the whole thing with pain and humiliation, and now they want to do this to the woman. They're looking at women not even as a beautiful person who you're sharing intimacy with, and it's a beautiful thing, but they're looking at these women and they're very angry at them. There's an anger sometimes I've noticed from certain guys. Yeah, that bitch, she's nothing but a slut, and she deserves it. Smack, smack. Now, I understand. I'm not throwing off and saying a little light hair tugging and a little smack on the backside doesn't enhance things. There's some women who like that. There's some guys who like that. And you discuss what you like. You discuss what your boundaries are before you get down and do what you do. I'm not against that. But there's some who are crazy who will beat a woman after or during. You know how many times you find deleted prostitutes in different cities across the country? That men would pick them up, have sex with them, and use a knife, use a gun, use their hands around their neck. I don't want to say it in a way that YouTube will say that this is a violent video. But you have some twisted men out there. And when I worked in prison and jails, I was right up there with them. I can even tell this story, but I want to go down the points, but I'll say it within 90 seconds. There was a guy who was locked up for strangling a woman to the point where she was deleted. She was 17 years old, and he's about 35. So already she was under 18. But she was very developed. There was no excuse for him to do that and even deal with her. Well, he got into the thing. Now, what is it? The strangulation thing where you choke off a woman's breath or you hold your breath during the point of orgasm, and it's the lack of oxygen is supposed to enhance the orgasm. Well, he claims that that's what they were doing. Right? But he kept going until she couldn't breathe anymore. She was coming over to his house, to his apartment. They were doing this every single day. And one point he went too crazy and she was gone from this earth. He took her and dumped her out the back door. It was an apartment complex where they had a front door and a back door, and it was like a back alley. He dumped her right there by the door and went to work. I'm not saying I would suggest any way of doing away with somebody, but how dumb can you be if you do that? You know they're going to get you, right? So he goes to work. He worked late. He would have her come over. She'd come over after school. They'd do their little thing for an hour or two, and then she'd leave and then repeat the process the next day. And I guess maybe like on the weekends it was a free-for-all. But it was proven that they were really into this, right? So anyway, he's coming back home from work in the morning time, right? And he sees police, and he's telling me this directly, me, LANCESCURV. Yeah, Lance. Oh, he didn't say Lance, he said Scurv, you know. He's Scurv, you know. I saw the helicopters, I saw the cop cars, I went into my complex, I saw the cop cars and the police tape right near my door, and I walked up, I said, what's going on, officer? How dumb can you be? Something's wrong with him. You delete somebody, take their life, and now dump their body out, and it's not funny, but you come home, oh, what's wrong, officer? He was totally delusional. So they locked him up. They locked him up. Now the sick part is, and I'm warning you ladies out here, and men, you need to be careful too. The sick part is that he had the negatives. You know, now we have digital cameras and digital phones. We can take pictures. But he had the negatives to develop the pictures. Somehow, some way, the lawyer or somebody got him the negatives of the deceased body on the slab. The deceased body of the young lady on the slab. And so I was doing my cell check, and he called me over. I mean, I left out of it, so I did the little check, checked him, checked everybody, and there was two to a cell in that area. And I was on my way out, and the other guy was at the nurse, you know, so it was just him. He said, hey, Scurv, come over here, man. I want to show you something. And I'm like, what are you going to show me? He said, come here, look at this book. I'm like, I'm very careful. Maybe they have a blade in there, want to slice me with it or something. So he pulls out these negatives, and he says, look, I want to show you the girl that I was dealing with. I'm thinking like the girl you were dealing with, maybe some old girlfriend or something like that. No, it was the one that he deleted, and she was on the slab. And my heart started racing because I couldn't believe how sick he was. I held the negative up, and she was on the slab, face down, then you know, face up, and because they had to take pictures, look at the body, and whatever they did with the investigation. And I didn't think of anything else, that was a deceased body, that was somebody's daughter, that was somebody's family, that was potential cut short. But guess what? You know what he told me? Don't she got a nice ASS? Man, I'm going to miss that ASS. Man, I really wanted to punch him in his face square up. That bothered me because I got daughters. That bothered me because that's somebody's child. No matter if you're sexually active, whatever you do, we're all human. We're all human. We get horny. We have imaginations. We meet somebody we like and we do things. That's something that, you know, it's like they have the videotapes, girls going wild. Well, it's sexuality going wild. A lot of times we can't control it because that's what we get into to relieve ourselves of stress or self-medicate, which is a whole different other topic. But yeah, let me get on with these points. I just want, maybe, I usually read them out and then talk about it. Let me just go through each one and just get into it. I think it's a little better that way. 3, social media addiction can lead to decreased productivity, but pornography addiction distorts perceptions of intimacy and inhibits healthy relationship development. You hear that? Inhibits healthy relationship development. If your mind is blasted from an addiction to porn, and I'm speaking as a man, because it could be a woman to a man, but I'm speaking, it works both ways. I'm not going to tell the story twice. But if you, as a man, you meet a decent young lady who has no problem as the relationship advances that you may get into something sexual, hopefully within marriage, hopefully within commitment. And I have not been a perfect example of all of those things. I was a bad boy when I was younger. But I never took advantage of anybody, never lied to anybody, was never a predator to anybody, never went past anybody's boundaries. Okay? I just never said no. But that being said, I knew better. And distorting the perception of intimacy, this is why you have to have that talk. And I've said this before. There was a book in a Barnes & Noble that I saw in North Carolina. I can't tell you what the name of it was, but it went into detail of what you should ask your potential partner about themselves, about the situation, about life. They left no stone unturned. We don't ask questions. We don't take time to know the people that we're getting involved with. You see what I mean? It's crazy. And they have distorted perceptions of intimacy. Intimacy to some guys may be, well, my wife loves me. She gives me head every night before I go to bed. So just that? No cuddling, no dreaming together, no dreams and aspirations and comfort and reassurance, and having it be more than just a sexual act where you're using her, as the term that I've made up, being a glorified friction provider. Listen to that. Glorified friction provider. You're providing fiction. Yeah, fiction too. I'll say why. But glorified friction provider and nothing more. Right? It's like you're masturbating with each other. Now, fiction provider, because he's got it in his head, what turns him on because of what he saw in the porn. And it's not you. And it could be the girl that he saw at the mall and he's fantasizing about her, or some old fling that he had 10, 15 years ago, and he's thinking about her, and all you're doing is providing the friction. Or the porn that he watched, the threesomes and foursomes and 5 women at one time, and he's using your vagina, your vajayjay, your coochie, right? Respectfully said. And that's all it is. That's all you are, as a sleeve to him. Is he really into you? Is he turned on to you? Are you really both there when you're making love? You may think it's making love, but he's just getting off heat, getting off lust, because he has a distorted perception of intimacy. Number 4, social media may facilitate superficial connections, but pornography commodifies human intimacy and perpetuates exploitative narratives. It got me stuttering over here. It is. Because you know what? You can have a man and a woman who get along just fine, and they think they're in a relationship, but they're using each other. They're using each other on a sexual level, and they don't know each other. You know, booty calls, like, okay, you do this and I'll do this and we'll get off and whatever. But they never get to know each other. They don't even want to know each other. But they know each other's private parts. Isn't that something? They know each other's private parts. But they don't want to know each other. And they realize after a while that I don't really know this person. You never cared to. It should be about that. There's someone who I know is going to listen to this, and their relationship is the bomb. They've been through a lot. I've known them all my life, from growing up right there on 134th Street. And I will say the initials of the first names. B is his initial and C is hers. You all know who you are. And you've come through thick and thin, many changes, but you're living your best life. And you know each other. You know each other, and you have a true connection. And guess what? They're not religious fanatics, but they're all in. You got to be ride or die with this thing. If you're not ride or die and all in the connection that you have, you can have all the sex in the world. But if you're not committed all the way, it ain't going to work. And when you are committed all the way, and you do know the person really loves you and wants to be with you, that makes sex the bomb. Ain't no quick fix from using the Vaseline. That's why I put the Vaseline on the banner. You all know what that means. It could be a different brand of Vaseline, but you know when you see them colors what that means. You know exactly what that means. But it's crazy though. Number 5, while social media platforms collect user data for targeted advertising, pornography sites often lack adequate age verification measures, exposing minors to explicit content. Yes, they have that little cheap, you must be 18, are you 18? What do you think they are? Oh, I'm not 18, I'm 13, so I guess I better get off. No, it's Pandora's box. It's the forbidden fruit. You know how you were when you were a child. I'm not saying you were looking at porn, but if there was a box of cookies on the top, a shelf somewhere in the cupboard, and the grandmother was looking after you. Maybe your parents left town for a while and she's a deep sleeper and you're up at night. You're like, I can deal with some of them cookies. You found yourself up there. You know, cookie crumbs all over your face. And she's saying, listen, you took them. No, I didn't. There's cookie crumbs all over your face. Ain't that something? But they're exposed. And I'll tell you another little story. And I've told this before. But we'll never hear those videos again because they've been wiped off the face of the earth, even though they're made private. That's amazing. But when driving the bus in Orlando, Florida, I would hear so much. My hearing is very good when I turn it on. Sometimes I don't want to hear certain things. Somebody could be sitting near me, and there could be somebody way in the back talking, and I'll hear them over the person who's sitting near me in the conversation they're having. That's just the way my hearing is. You know, I can hear you think, all right? So there were girls back there, 12, 13 years old, and to make a long story short, I don't want to get into detail about it, but they were talking about how they perform acts on their older boyfriends, on their knees, performing acts. We're adult here. We know exactly what that means. And not only that, when I heard the ages of these boyfriends, you mean you 13 years old, you got a 37-year-old secret boyfriend who takes you to McDonald's, who takes you to go shopping, and when people see the both of you, you're the daughter. Oh, that's my daughter. One of them got busted because one went into the shop in the mall with the real father and said, the person said, how many fathers you got? I thought the other guy was your father. Oh, she caught it because that father picked up on what was going on. But with the other girls, they were talking about the best ways to perform and advanced techniques that only adults know. How to turn a man on with lingerie and, you know, the breasts and the positioning of this and the noises you're making and the eyes rolling up in the head. And yeah, that gets it. He gets it good. And you do what now? Where you learn this? I learned this from watching them sex movies. So this is what this exposure does. You become hypersexual at a young age. You don't take the cake out of the oven before it's time. You don't expose a cake that's supposed to be in the oven for a whole hour and take it out after 15 minutes and the cake drops. It's ruined. But this is what's happening. And we take it light. And the pornographic mentality is over in social media because I just can't blame the young girls. A lot of y'all 60, 70 years old doing your thing on social media. Come on now. Me, I know it because I've been on social media for many years and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I have been the recipient. You don't want to see my email account. You don't want to see my inbox. And I know that we all are sexual beings. All I'm saying is that this has driven us to become so imbalanced. And yes, when you combine that and to have a heart with loneliness, you know, we're touch starved. I've done a show on that and it's on the channel here. Go back a couple of weeks, you'll see it. We're suffering from touch starvation. We're not saying sex starvation. I say touch starvation. We don't get hugs. We don't get even the fellas. I'm not talking about anything rainbow. But you hug your brother. How you doing, man? You pat him on the shoulder, you know, whatever. You don't hug up on all the sisters. You got to be respectful. But when you get to know somebody, you know how to embrace them and be warm with them and give them the eye contact, give them the conversation. It's not just a physical touch. It's that too, but it's the warmth of the next human being opening up and sharing with you. This is why social distancing was so bad. And they're going to try to pull us apart from each other. And they've been very well doing that by offering social media and pornography as a replacement. You get that jar of Vaseline, you got a porn going on, woo-ha! What the Busta Rhymes says, woo-ha! We got them all in check, ya, 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 ya. And some of y'all are making that sound too while you're stroking away, ya, 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 ya. Crazy. Number 6, social media algorithms prioritize sensationalized content, but pornography sites prioritize shock value and extreme fetishes, desensitizing viewers over time. Yes, the shock value and extreme fetishes, and you know what happens with that? You start to crave more and more. What shocked you before doesn't shock you anymore. It doesn't give you the same hit. Again, I made the comparison to the smartphone being a crack pipe. Well, porn is also like a crack pipe. And if you have the crack pipe or have the porn on the crack pipe. That's some super, no, the porn in the smartphone, that's some super crack. But crack, whatever you want to call it. It's just too much. And so now you see these things in different categories. I remember way back in the day, yeah, we'd go to these little topless bars and sex shops in the old Times Square. You know, we're young, we going in there. I was built like a grown man from 14, 15, years old. I'd go with my older friends and yeah, we want to see the man. Oh, look at this. Look what she's doing. Look at that. Look at this. But it was more, how could I put it? It was more, we didn't have the wild categories that we have now. And even back then, it started to get wilder. And I remember saying to my friend, can't call his name, I've mentioned it before, and he knows, he wouldn't mind, but, I told him, I said, you know what? You see these different categories where they have, and back in the day, it was just simple. They had a regular sex category. Then they had maybe interracial. Then they had maybe older women and younger guys, because many younger guys, they always had a crush on an older woman or something like that. But I told him, I said, listen, as the years roll by, this is not going to do it for many people. And the categories are going to be even more extreme. It's going to be even more extreme. So now you even 10 years after that, you had doo-doo categories, man. You had golden showers now. You had men who wanted to have sex with grannies. I'm not talking about like an older woman who's well kept. I'm talking about a granny who looks like somebody in the old folks' home about ready to kick the can. And they have those things there. Then they have the animal, the bestiality stuff, which is more of a curiosity, I would think. But that's wild. Why would someone allow themselves to become so degraded and not understand? And you get desensitized. You have one woman who loves you in the bed next to you, and you're romantic and you're kissing and you're doing foreplay, and you're not turned on because your mind is way out there and she don't know it. You got to leave that stuff alone. But I'll tell you this much, you can't leave it alone unless you replace it with something. You got to be able to replace it with something. If you don't, you're all messed up. Number 7, social media influencers may promote unrealistic lifestyles, but pornography performers often suffer exploitation and coercion behind the scenes. Yeah, that's a big difference. You see, you'll have people promoting these unrealistic lifestyles, and you'll have folks who don't have a big bank account. They'll try to keep up with that. They'll lie. They'll try to get next to celebrities and say they know them. They'll go stand up in the parking lot next to a very expensive luxury car and lean on it and take some pictures like it's theirs. They do those things, I understand. But when you see that pornography or actors and actresses, they suffer, especially the women, the exploitation and the coercion, the drugs, the depression, the suicides. You know how many porn actors and actresses, and I would say probably more the women, have committed suicide because of the lifestyle? And look, while they may make it look glossy and make it seem like everybody's making money, everybody's not making big money with porn. And even the ones who are independent, who claim to make lots of money, look what they have to do to get that money. I don't care how much you glorify it and say it's a lifestyle thing and you're living this way or that way, and people, young girls, see it and say, man, they're famous and they're taking something they got, and I don't have to go out there and work, and I can get this kind of money, and they treat me like a star, like they love them. People don't love you. You're a fantasy, and you're not even that. You're like a throwaway, because in the porn industry, what's hot today is not hot tomorrow. You see, you get older, unless you get into doing the granny porn. You know what I mean? And all of that is a dime a dozen. It would chew you up and spit you out. Emotionally, and especially spiritually, you'll be so off. You're draining yourself. And really and truly, who wants to marry you after that? And some people say, well, I don't want to get married. Listen, you don't go out there and brag about what you've done with your life. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. The proof is in the pudding. I got to do a show on the statistics of those who are in the porn industry. There have been videos done on it. So many videos done on that. You can find them on the video platforms. Number 8, while social media may contribute to echo chambers and polarization, pornography fosters harmful attitudes towards women, LGBTQ plus individuals, and diverse sexualities. Now, am I promoting? This has been said about the LGBTQ community and diverse sexualities, which I mentioned it because statistically it's always put out there how their harmful attitudes thrown at them. But my concern here are the women. I put that in there for reference so somebody doesn't come and say, oh, well, it's us too. Yes, but that stuff there, I don't want to come out too strong before they strike this channel down again. But the bottom line is that with all of us, we need to keep our business behind closed doors. Is that hate speech? We need to keep our business behind closed doors. How do I know what you do in your bedroom unless you're parading it around? How do you know what I do in my bedroom? I never walked around no woman half naked or just slapping on the back. Oh yeah, we did this last night. Oh, and we kissing around. No. Everybody, keep your business behind closed doors, and we won't have to worry about this stuff. But porn does shape how you feel about people. But we have to bear responsibility for it too, by the way we dress, by the way we carry ourselves. But we don't want to bear responsibility. We don't want accountability. It's the world's fault. It's everybody around us. They're chastising us because we're this way and that way. It's crazy out here. Social media platforms struggle with moderating hate speech and harmful content, but pornography perpetrates harmful stereotypes and violence against women with little regulation. It's true. It's true. There are many people, there are many men who enjoy seeing women in rough sex, getting roughed up in sex, and you have so many different taboo categories and hard to get videos that you can get on the dark web where there's straight out violence against women getting beat up after or before having sex, bruised up. I've never seen those, but enough people who have came and told me, Lance, this is real. I'm like, I don't even want to see that. It would make me angry. And there's no way of regulating that. You see what I mean? And even social media is struggling with what they call hate speech. But you see, I'm not on social media side that way. They can do what they do. They let certain stuff go out there. How they talk about black people and these right-wing extremists and, want to talk. But if I say something truthful, trust me, truth is the new hate speech. But if you don't say anything that they like and they approve of, oh, it's hate speech. It's a double-edged sword, double standards with social media. But porn is a very serious thing. And that's why I say, why do we worry about social media more than porn and the effects of porn? We're not saying anything. It's too much money in it. And I suspect that somehow, some way, these politicians are getting their palms greased, not just with Vaseline and a visual and a keyboard in front of them with a mouse, but with money. So they turn their head. That's something I can't prove, but that's something that I really believe. Number 10, social media may distract from real-world interactions, but pornography consumption can lead to sexual dysfunction and intimacy issues in real-life relationships. Isn't that something? How many couples have issues with their intimacy, but the wife doesn't know because she doesn't know that her husband is addicted to porn? He can't get it up for her. She's a beautiful young lady, loving, will do anything in the bed, not just out of lust, but a mixture of love and some sprinkling of lust, righteous lust. You married man, and say the married man that's faithful and all into his wife, and he loves her. But she walks by with this little short t-shirt, or maybe she's walking up the steps in front of him and he's behind her. It's not just soft love and I love you, I want to hold your hand. It's like, look at her. She looks pretty. I want to bite that cheek. Whatever it is, as long as it's safe and you're not hurting anybody. You see what I mean? Number 11, While social media can amplify mental health struggles, pornography addiction is linked to depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem, particularly among adolescents. Whoa, imagine that. Imagine that. You haven't even stepped your foot into the inner workings of life, and already you have amplified low self-esteem, anxiety, and depression because you're exhausting yourself. Man, you're jerking off every day. You're watching this stuff. It feels good, but what are you getting away from? Why are you self-medicating? Because that's what it is. It's not like it used to be, where you couldn't wait to go outside and play ball with your friends, or, get together with your friends. And even if you were on the stoop, the front steps, bored as heck, just enough money to get an ice cream cone, you had some great times. You improvised. But now, many of our young men and some young women are in the house, never coming out, never relating with peers, never having conversations, never playing sports. But the computer or the smartphone, they'll stay locked in their room for hours, either on social media or looking at porn, manipulating themselves, getting weak. After you have an orgasm, do you want to get up and go run out in the street? No. You lay there spent. You get something to eat. You look at the stimulation on the brain, the blue light. It's just too much. Then we're eating these GMO foods, so you have these disinterested young men who don't want to go out and look for women because they saw the real thing, stimulated themselves, and they're exhausted. We need our testosterone in our young men. We need to eat better food. We need to get rest. We need to have a schedule, and we need to be kept busy. The streets are empty now. I don't mean the streets like they're going to be out there in the streets doing something bad, but what happened to the neighborhoods? When was the last time you saw a neighborhood, subdivision neighborhood, whatever, not in the dangerous part of the city, but where you saw young ladies playing double dutch, hopscotch? I mean, young men playing football, basketball, playing tag, riding their bikes. That's a thing of the past. I'm not saying it doesn't exist anywhere, but please, whoever's listening to this, please tell me where you see this. I'd like to know, because I know it's still there, but it was the norm before. It's not the norm anymore. It's not. Number 12. Social media filters can distort reality, but pornography consumption distorts perceptions of healthy sexuality and consent. We know it distorts perceptions of healthy sexuality, but look at consent here. Consent. What do you mean by that, Scurv? Well, you have a guy who, because he gets horny, that woman, because she's well endowed up top and nice thighs and rump and backside and looking very fertile, he's going to use her, whether she agrees or not, for his own twisted satisfaction. Because that's not satisfaction, because that's not a righteous desire. Distorts perceptions of healthy sexuality and consent. Rape. Just because it's on a date, they call it date rape. You are not supposed to do anything to a woman that she does not want to do. If it's not mutual, it ain't happening. I'm for that. I've always had control. Even when I was into things and smooching and everybody's touching and body parts start to come out, and all of a sudden, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, no problem. Zip, and still have a good time. Let's go get something to eat. Let's have fun. And sometimes they're playing games. Sometimes they're not. No means no, whether you think it's a game or not. Because I've had some young ladies turn around, oh, you going to take me home now? Yeah, I'm going to take you home. Are you mad at me? No, it's just time to take you home. We went and got something to eat. We still told jokes and stuff. And I didn't really, we need to go back over there by that Lover's Lane by Baisley Park. Hands up for everybody who knows about the Lover's Lane in Baisley Park. Dangerous place now. Maybe. I know it's still there. Friends might tell me, yeah, it's still over there. A lot of babies made over there. A lot of fun happened over there. But no means no. As soon as you hit and look, if somebody says no, I'm not going to go back when they say yeah again, because they can. That's mixed up. You say no one time, that no is universal. That no means no. I'll hang out with you. I'm not even going to try you. We need to know that, because it's so easy with DNA evidence for a woman to turn around and say, you know what? I know I said no, and then later on I said yes. And you know what? I feel bad that we did it, so I don't want anybody to know I did it with him, so I'm going to say he raped me. No way, you ain't getting my sperm. Oh, no. Especially me. My DNA is strong. I got that super sperm. For real. I'm throwing away all cups. Any cup I drank out of, I'm throwing it away. We got saliva on there, that's my DNA. I'm paranoid. You're daggone right. No. 13, social media influencers may promote materialism and consumerism, but pornography promotes the objectification and commodification of human bodies. You see, you keep looking at porn, and they have it now where it's just like YouTube or Rumble or whatever. You click on something, and then you see stuff in the sidebar, except there's no sidebar. They have the video on top, and they have all of these things in the same categories that you're looking at. And it picks up, the algorithms pick up on what you like. So if you want to see, you're a black man, and you want to see a hick-town, cross-eyed, 500-pound, buck-tooth, smelly, white chick going down on a black man, you look down at the bottom, that's what you're going to see. What do they call them? Pogs. P-A-W-G. S-B-B-Ws. It's like, wait a second. It's like, BMWs you said? No, BBWs, right? I'm not making fun of big, beautiful women, right? So what do they call them? Pretty ASS white girls. They're usually fat and chubby. They got so many fetishes now. They got guys that specialize in making their own porn, and they put it up on these sites, and these guys go around driving around picking up crackheads and performing acts on them, and they videotape it. The crackhead don't care. They just give me a little extra money because that's my face out there. Well, look what you're out here in the corner doing. Everybody knows what you're doing. But now, because of the phones, everybody has become the paparazzi. So you have all kind of porn, not just what was set up in a hotel room with lights and a director and actresses. No. I remember, what was the social media platform before? Oh God, it was so funny. It was such a concept. What was that one? Where you can get on and your location was revealed via GPS, but on a map. And it was funny. People would get on live, and it was funnier than it just never took off. I forgot the name. And one night, I was surfing through different areas. You know, I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I said, you know what? You can see what's going on in your area behind closed doors with these crazy people. It wasn't a sex thing, but oftentimes it became that. So there was it was like a map, and it had to drop down little pins, just like with GPS, just like with Google Maps. And it had numbers next to it of how many people were watching it, and the numbers were flying up. I said, let me click on this. It was somewhere in Virginia, and that's when I was in Orlando. It was a woman who was giving head to her boyfriend. I'm like, why would she get on here and do that on this platform? Why? And they deleted everything though after that. But it was crazy how the word got around, and people watching it, they probably forwarded and say, hey, check this out. This is live, whatever. So people now, because of their low self-esteem or need for attention, they want to be porn stars. Yeah. I mean, I've been approached by 2 young ladies out here. You're LANCESCURV. I know you from social media. I know you have good cameras. Could you help us out with our OnlyFans? I'm like, what do you know about OnlyFans out here in Ghana? But they knew about it, and they wanted to make money. It's crazy, isn't it? And there are people out here doing that. Oh, they getting it out here. You may not know them, but they're getting it out here. And some people just don't want to be seen, but they're doing all types of stuff. Trust me, a lot of things come across my desk. What's the next one here? While social media may foster a fear of missing out, which they call FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out, pornography perpetuates harmful stereotypes and unrealistic expectations about sex and relationships. You know, The ladies watch pornography and they think everybody's hanging down to their knee, can stay hard for 12 hours, walking down the aisle, the supermarket aisle, and if you call them fast enough, they turn around and knock everything off the shelf because they're so well endowed. It's just sticking straight out 24/7. It ain't like that. And then you have the guys who think they're supposed to be that way. And you have young men who are in their 20s taking Viagra. I just want to get a little extra punch in the performance. Why do you need that? It's in your mind. And yes, at certain points in a man's life, no matter how much you take care of yourself, you can go on for a long time and have a healthy sex life. But that will evolve also. It may not be where you're rigid anymore. At what point do you think, okay, say you live to 120 years old. You think you're going to be 119 with a raging, vein-laced, blood-engorged heart-on? No. You might enjoy how it feels if somebody performs an act on you. I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm just saying we have these unrealistic expectations because those in the porn industry may be gifted as far as length and girth is concerned, but a lot of them are on drugs to keep the performance going. A lot of them popping Viagra like candy. Some of them are not. It's just the way it is. Number 15. Social media may contribute to political polarization, but pornography perpetuates harmful power dynamics and reinforces patriarchal norms. It's a man's world. And the power. And not even in a loving way. Of course, pornography is there to incite lust. But do you really have to grab the woman's hair so hard, real hard and slap, push her head down on something and, just the demeaning talk? And there are a lot of insecure men who like seeing that, who can't even run their own households and don't get enough respect in their own households because they're not real men. They're just males who hold a spot, who hold a position, or just bring a paycheck home. And they get off on seeing this stuff. Then they go try that outside in the street somewhere and get their head knocked off because everybody's not going to go for that. While social media may expose users to graphic content, pornography exposes viewers to explicit sexual acts and violence, often without context or consent. And if you can't process this scenario of what you're looking at in pornography, it goes right in. There's no filter. It goes right into your brain. It becomes part of your psychological makeup. You're messed up with porn. I ain't going to say I never watched it. When I was much younger, I would look at it. Yeah, right? But it had my mind messed up. I remember when I was 15 years old. Now, when I was 15 years old, I always hung out with guys who were a little older than me. So we would go into these peep shows and see the sex shows and giggle and laugh. And it was just part of the experience, right? But it affected me. I was already sexually active and already older women were taking advantage of me and I loved it. I thought I loved it. I ain't going to lie. I was all with it. But my mind was warped. And so I remember one day I was on 168th Street and Hillside Avenue. I'll never forget it. And there was a lady walking next to me but a little behind me. I was getting to be kind of developed at that age. I was 15 years old. So I walked into a newsstand to see if they had the latest bodybuilder magazines and still a few comic books, boxing magazines and stuff. And she walked next to me and she had unbuttoned her blouse down to her navel. And she was a good looking woman. And she turned around toward me and bent down. Her breasts were hanging straight out the shirt. I was like, hamada, 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 hamada. And she did that to me. She wasn't even trying to pick me up and take me home. I was hoping for that. She just buttoned it up and sashayed right on about her. And I'm sitting there, and I walked to the front. She was gone. But my mind was already messed up, and it served me right. I was thinking like that. I'm seeing women that way. You're a horny 15-year-old. Come on. Eating all this protein powder, working out, taking all these vitamins. Of course, hormones hitting you, testosterone off the chain. The wind blows, you get hard. But it had my mind ready for that all the time, which was not good. And that robs you of life if that's all you think about. You see what I mean? It's crazy. That's all you think about. So it's a strange thing. So number 17, I think it's number 17, right? Is it? Let me see. Okay, yeah. Social media platforms struggle to combat misinformation, but pornography perpetuates harmful myths about sex and relationships. Yeah, if you learn about sex through porn, you're done. But the expectations and, people get around talking about things at an ignorant level. They have no experience, but they watch porn and think that's the norm. So they get with somebody and they think that that's mandatory. Like, listen, all women do not want to perform oral sex on a man. Maybe she will do it when she has her man. But fellas, you can't expect, because in porn, they go around sucking everybody off, and sucking is not a bad word. So YouTube, don't even start. It doesn't mean everybody wants to do that. And if you are expecting that, or you hope to be blessed with that in a situation, men, wash your balls, wash your backside, keep your stuff clean. I hear a lot of complaints from ladies, and all through the years and I was out there, I kept myself ready. You know what I called it? I kept myself blowjob ready. No woman in my life could say at that point, whether it's something fast or something whatever, oh, I ain't messing with him, man. He balls stink. We do it to ourselves, fellas. Keep yourself squeaky clean and be a gentleman. Be a gentleman. Keep yourself squeaky clean. You have to. It's crazy. Number 18. While social media may facilitate online harassment, pornography perpetuates harmful attitudes toward consent and sexual boundaries. Same thing that they said earlier, but I added in sexual boundaries. Because she may consent, but it doesn't mean she wants to go that far with certain things. Huh? Just because you want to play around on, let's just say it this way. They have the different planets. We have Saturn, we have Jupiter, we have Neptune, Mars, Earth, of course, Venus, Mercury, Pluto, whatever. What did I say? What was the angry? Okay, Mars, Jupiter, right? But we have a planet called planet Uranus. Or Uranus. U-R-Anus. Planet Uranus. Right? And some men want to play around in a woman's planet Uranus. And she ain't going for it. Or some men want the woman to kind of lick around planet Uranus. Do what you do. I've experienced a lot in this life. But you cannot push beyond a person's boundaries. And in a rough way, just because you got aroused. Oh, yeah, girl, come on, let's do it. I'm not doing that. We never talked about that. This is why communication is so very important. But there is no communication in porn. You click it on, you don't even know who these people are, how they met, where they are. You don't care. That Vaseline is there. You clicked onto it, stroking away. And you know what? You can also create soul ties. You keep focusing on one actress or this particular scenario. These people could be dead, and you're sitting here joining on with them on a spiritual level, on a mental level. Don't think you can't. What you mean soul tie? I never went to bed with them. But your mind. How'd the scripture go? I know I'm going to jack it up. That if you thought about, I'm not going to say it the way the scripture is, right? But if you thought about having sex with a woman, it's just as bad as you doing it. Right? Somebody help me with that scripture. Please. I know you got some knowledgeable people out here. I'm a little dummy, but I know you know your stuff. I'm just a guy out here running my mouth. But it's the truth. You create soul ties. Number 19, social media influencers may promote unhealthy lifestyles, but pornography consumption is linked to increased risk of sexual transmitted infections and unplanned pregnancies. Of course it is. You amped up. And the way I say it, I say you're pornoed up. You're pornoed out mentally. You done watch this stuff and you determine it's the weekend, you're going to find somebody and you're going to do the way you want to do it. And it really never happens. And when you get the opportunity with somebody who may be infected with something very deadly, you so horny and in need in your mind for this kind of contact that you don't mind taking a chance. Because when you see them pretty thighs and you see them breasts falling out, you're like, oh no, I got to do this. And because you feel you need to make up for lost time, you're doing all types of things with people who you don't know who they were with. You're swapping crotch sauce and don't know who else's crotch sauce that you're swallowing down. We got to talk graphics sometimes. This is look, better this than you sitting up in the clinic somewhere trying to explain to your wife how you got there. Or explain to your parents how you got an unwanted pregnancy, but you're in Sunday school every morning acting like a saint, on your knees praying the night before you were on your knees doing something else. Number 20, while social media may foster addiction and screen time concerns, pornography consumption has been shown to have more detrimental effects on brain development and psychological well-being, particularly among adolescents, because they don't know about this stuff. And this stuff is right there for them. Come on. I remember in elementary school when I was like 5th or 6th grade, somebody threw a magazine out. That's not like the other time where me and my friend found like 12 crates of magazines, hardcore. We were skateboarding down on 134th Street between 107th and 109th Avenue. I'll never forget, we were heading home. And I saw these magazines. I thought they were comic books. It was all colorful. Well, it was a windy day. One flew out and hit me in the face. I pulled it off my face and saw a big titty. I'm like, yo, what is this? We hit the jackpot. We hit the jackpot. I think I was like 13 years old. Summertime. Do you think that you saw us out playing football or baseball for the rest of that summer? We were inside looking at those magazines. So he took 6 and I took 6. We helped each other, had the crates. I put the crates under my bed. The bed got so high, I had to pull the cover. I always kept my room. Mom, my room's clean. You don't have to go in there. I would go out to play and sneak back to the window so I could come inside and watch those, look at those magazines. The mother's like, Lance, how come the lotion has gone down so fast? I just bought it last week. I was like, oh my God. You know what that means. You know what I'm talking about. But that's the thing. There's nothing good in it. Don't start it. Keep it. Look, it's like trying to get into a boat that has a hole in the bottom. You're on this boat, yeah, it has a couple holes, that's okay. And you go out on the water and you sink. And if you don't sink and you're still Dr. Bay, you're still gonna sink, but it takes away. If you keep your focus on what you have to do, sex will always be there. And when you keep the holes plugged up, that's a bad wordage, right? Using words, right? If you keep the holes plugged up and keep focused, when you meet that person and you're into them, it is such a beautiful thing, and it feels better, and you can still do the freaky deaky stuff that y'all like as long as you're not forcing something on someone and you both agree. Sex sometimes doesn't make sense to the conscious mind, but it feels so good. And when you're making a good connection with somebody, it's a very wholesome thing and a very bonding thing. And you do want the bonding. I see people these days, oh yeah, I have a man that comes over every now and then, but I ain't really getting close with him. I'll use him for that. It's better than my battery operated boyfriend, but if I have to use it, I'll use that. See how disconnected we've become? See? Plastic credit cards, plastic penises, fake milk, Similac and Enfamil, and what happened to the breast? And breasts have been so sexualized we forget the purpose of it. It's a beautiful thing though. Breasts are beautiful, a leg is beautiful, a face is beautiful, the human body is beautiful. But why do we get these fetishes that chop off, it doesn't matter, I like her because she has big breasts? You're already starting out imbalanced. And porn will keep you imbalanced no matter how much you say, and you watching it with the person you're with. And that's safe because I'm with the person I'm with. But you lusting after what you see on the screen. You don't need nothing to jumpstart you. That's to be honest. That's the honest to the Creator truth. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you got a laugh up out of it. I try to be funny sometimes, but it is a very, very serious issue. And the main thing is, okay, I'm not going to say adults can handle it, but you know what it is. You're on your own with that. You make your own decisions. But we can't let this thing get into the hands of our children and mess their minds up. And lots of times we have situations where we have adults who mess up the minds of the children anyway by messing around with them. It's about the children. Protect them. Because once they get their hand on that, it will mess them up. They'll start dropping the grades in school and become antisocial, and what is there left then? And how would they look at a potential mate if they see him as just a sex object? It's very important. Not all of us are going to come out of it. I had a very sexualized adolescence, and even before that, and just life. That's just the way it was. I'm so glad that I can have held on, and I'm just so glad that I can have some bit of normalcy in this life. But my mind is still touched. It's still touched. Just from life all overall, not just porn or anything, because I wasn't a porn addict. I would watch it. My life was like a porn movie. So I didn't need that. You know what I mean? So for me to even come out of that is very tough, because see, a drug is something you get. Alcohol is something you get, but your hormones, your imagination, and your desires, you can't stop yourself from that. And it doesn't mean you have to. But utilize that part in the proper context, because it's very destructive if you don't. Anyway, I love you all. I'm going to wrap it down. LANCESCURV out. Make sure to subscribe. Share this with someone who may need it, or if they need a laugh. But everything I do is out of love. Whether you've seen the content, the old stuff or not, we keep on going on. And you never know what's going to come out of my mouth, because I talk about everything, and I challenge you to ask me to talk about a topic that is taboo. I talk about everything, and I break it down. Anyway, much love to you all, my kindred spirits, my family, and a few sprinkling of weird people out there. I'm on to the next one. Thank you. LANCESCURV.com. Peace.
Make sure to go to LANCESCURV.com, an online magazine established in 2001, containing written articles, thousands of talk shows and discussions, cutting-edge cartoons, as well as erotic expressions and tasteful adult photography. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Once you get a taste of the world of LANCESCURV, trust me, you'll be back for more. LANCESCURV.com. Bold, raw, and